And I'm like, maybe I should jump on this. But I see a bunch of kids singing karaoke. And I'm like, there's just no way this is going to have any success. And now I'm just like, mother. But OliBear, let's kick this off officially. One, thank you. I gotta give you a huge thank you because I was running around with my head cut off yesterday. I had to help out with the T3 tournament. They asked me to join in on the T3 tournament, so I was in there. I actually did not. They asked me to join like literally 15 minutes before the thing started, and I ended up going 5th place. So hey, man, I'm not that bad. But we finally got you on here. My feather, one of the only other Nether Realm guys on TikTok, so I have someone that I can relate to hardcore with right now. But Ollie. I always start the same question with everyone on this podcast, and that is, how did you make your way to TikTok? Give me the whole, how did you somehow get onto TikTok and start making content?
Yeah, it was absolutely by random that I started making content because I had followed you, and I followed Lumi and Combo Couch. And for a while, I was just, scrolling through, really nothing going on. And then the first video I made was a video game opinion, like a hill that you'll die on. Mm-hmm. And that was the video that I made that I said, fighting games are probably the best form of competitive gaming. And no one wants to put in the work. And I was just giving the example of like, people think it's really difficult to play fighting games. I'm like, yeah, but then there's Broly legs. Mm-hmm. The guy has none of he can't use his hands. He plays with a controller in his mouth, and the guy wins tournaments, mm-hmm. And from there, I got all these accounts. You liked it, and I think Lumi liked it, but that was the whole thing. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't even think that these guys would say hi or anything. So then from there, I got comments and likes and like all this stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe people want to hear my opinion. And then from there, I just threw my hat in the ring. Mm-hmm. So right after that, it was just like, that's when I started thinking about like, oh, what don't people know about stuff in fighting games? So I gave like general tips, and then the idea of Legends of the FGC started coming in. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, a lot of people know esports, like a lot of gamers know esports, but there's not almost any coverage about, fighting game superstars, I would think.
There has been some, and they're very selective who they choose, like Hold Back the
exactly.
Block and Action Esports, and
yeah,
they're very, very picky on who they pick. Like, you're not like my favorite competitor. I think he's one of yours as well. Like, they haven't covered Honeybee yet. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
So I totally get that.
Yeah. The Score, I don't know if you follow The Score, mm-hmm. the esports YouTube channel, but they actually do a pretty good job. They bring up some guys that like, for the longest time, I didn't know who Lil Majin was. Mm-hmm. And then I watched the video on him. I was like, oh, wow, that's actually really cool. And then I guess that was the idea of it. It was me saying like, okay, there are a bunch of these dudes that almost not a lot of people in the general gaming community know about. So that was like the general idea of like me coming on and doing that. But yeah, that's basically how I got started. Mm-hmm.
So that's it. How did you get to TikTok, by the way? Was like, why were you on TikTok? Like, who was the person that got you to download the app of TikTok, out of curiosity?
I think I had TikTok before it became like very much a mainstream thing. Mm-hmm. And at the time, most of the videos were like people doing the dances. And I looked at it for a second and I said, this is not for me. And I deleted it. And then Instagram has a section where it's like the shorts, but it'll have like the little logo for TikTok. Mm-hmm. And some of them I actually liked it. And, some of it was about gaming, some of it was about fighting games. I was like, oh, maybe I can re-download this and check it out. And that's how I got into the cycle again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love hearing that because it's usually the stories of how do people get onto TikTok usually has something to do with I got onto TikTok because someone kept on sending me TikToks and it was easier for me to just get the account. instead of sending it through Messenger was usually
Yes.
the common one I keep on hearing. There's other people who had it since Musically, which blows my mind that people still had it all the way since then.
Musically.
Yeah, like the fact people still had it then. Dude, I'm kind of angry at myself because I look back when Musically started. Like I remember seeing those videos starting to like go viral and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the people promoting it they were promoting TikTok on Facebook, which you're not going to see anymore. But like
no.
I remember it then. And I'm like, maybe I should jump on this. But I see a bunch of kids singing karaoke. And I'm like, there's just no way this is going to have any success. And now I'm just like, mother. It makes me so.
It's the Netflix effect. It's the Netflix effect where everyone looked at it and they were like, this is so stupid. Why would anyone want to download this app? And then, it blows up. It becomes this major social media aspect. No one saw this coming.
I was talking to my cousin about that a couple days ago. How like I legitimately had they would send me discs on Netflix. I've had it since discs. I'm one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm one of them guys. I'm that old.
I promise you. And no one saw it coming.
Okay. So you got into TikTok. What about your content creator? I saw that you're a Twitch streamer. How'd you get into? Have you always been a content creator? Is that something new that you just got into? What's that all about?
I dabbled in Twitch streaming for a little bit. I feel like I'm much better at the content creation when it comes to TikTok, just because it's shorter forms of content creation. I think you talked about it on a podcast like a while ago where you said you don't like making YouTube videos because it's so much of the editing, it's so much of this like work that you have to put in. But TikTok's, the most you can do maybe 3 to 10 minutes, and then, you do some editing, and for the most part, you can get some pretty good stuff in. Which is funny because you're trying to figure out the algorithm when it comes to it. And it's like, I have videos that are 3 minutes long about, Legends of the FGC, but then I'll have like a 30-second video that'll get like 4,000 views as opposed to the Legends of the FGC, which gets, 500. I wouldn't say I was like a content creator like right away. I was just generally like giving my opinion about stuff, and it was just kind of like, if people didn't like it or whatever, I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna keep a catalog for myself, But as things started to pick up, I was like, oh, okay, so this is kind of fun. I like having this community in it. And then right after that, I really got engrossed in it when like everybody else got involved. When I ran into like Specs, Floki, you guys, and became more about the community. And that's really the point that I was trying to grab onto, because I've been playing fighting games for a very long time. It's just that like no one wants to play them. And I was like, okay, so I might be alone here. But then, you get to see that. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can actually get into the community part of the FGC.
We have, I think where it's at currently is awesome. It took some while to get here. It took some time to hear, excuse me. But where we are at within the fighting game community of TikTok, it's awesome to be a part of this community. Like, it's very welcoming. We let people come in. We there's always someone to find a match with. It's dope. It's
absolutely
super dope.
This is the biggest group of people that I've like come together with that actually want to sit down, play the fighting game and all that. And it's really cool to finally have a lot of people that are like, okay, you guys want to run some matches, 1st to 5, 1st to 10, And if it's a fighting game that no one's played before, they're like, screw it, I'll get it. Let's practice. Maybe you can show me how to play. Like, I never had that.
I went to Combo Breaker a couple weeks ago, and there was only like 39 competitors in Bloody Roar, right? And I got 13th, right? Like, that's half. So
that's pretty good.
So I told people I won a couple by DQ, by the way. So don't think I'm
that's
amazing.
Fine.
But regardless, there was a couple people that legitimately like now want to play Bloody Roar. So now I gotta like start organizing Bloody Roar tournaments within a tournament. Most people have never touched that game. Have you ever played the game? Never heard of it, right? But like that is a childhood love of mine. I will champion Bloody Roar till I die, right? And that is something that you can experience. Like I'll be honest, I owned every single Blaze Blue game. because it was on sale once. I could buy them all for like $13. I'm like, done. They sat in my Steam library. Floki said just download it, and I actually spent the entire weekend learning a character in Blaze Blue. I actually learned and got into it because of one person recommended it to me. So it's like you don't get that other places, like especially in shooters. Like nah, I'm gonna go back to Fortnite. It's like no,
right,
Fortnite. I'm gonna stick with Warzone. Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. It's kind of hard to do, but in fighting games, it's kind of like a weird kinship where you're willing to go to the other side of the schoolyard to go play with the other kids in their area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't get that as much in other genres. You really don't, because like every other, especially I keep on bringing up shooters. Shooters is a great example. People like their game and they stick with their game. Like I've been trying to get my buddy to come over from Call of Duty to come play Fortnite with me for a while. Nah, no way.
Won't
that's
do
happening.
it.
No way.
Yeah, I feel like fighting games have like you said, it's a general kinship, because I feel like a lot of it has to do with people learning from the ground up and getting really good at something. And it's that I tell people all the time, it's the self like actualization and becoming very good at a fighting game that makes it very fun. So it's always cool to have people who are like in love with fighting games, and then you hop into a new one, and even though we've all been there before, like, oh, I'm terrible at the game in the beginning, and because we've all been there before, it's nothing. Like, okay, I'll get over this milestone. Once I get there, I'll get there. And it's picking it up and like running with the ball that you're like, wow, this is actually a really great game. I love this game. I was terrible at Guilty Gear Strive. I bought it, terrible at it. I was getting handed to all the time. I made it like right before heaven, not like a week ago, and it just felt really good to like finally get that going again.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. Like, oh my god, when you like, especially in any fighting game, when you reach that like next pinnacle of what you're shooting for, like obviously Guilty Gear Strive gives you like actual stages to grow on.
Right.
But like in certain, like I just remember, like it's no different from like there's that one guy you just never can beat, but you finally beat him. You know what I mean? You beat him in you beat him once out of 20 matches. You're like, yes. Then you do it again and you beat him like 3 times out of 10, and then you just like slowly, now you're even with the person. It's such a great feeling.
Absolutely.
I used to do that with Smash quite a bit. Like I'm a big Smash guy. So like I remember there's this one friend of mine I just never could beat him, but then I would like catch up to him for a little while where we were going back and forth, and then he just go ahead again, like I'm gonna get you again. And this is this like constant traveling after him, but like to this day he's still better than me. No, I always know I have to stay on top of it, and that's his game. You know what I mean? When you have a game. But let's talk about fighting games with you. I want to hear your fighting game origin story. What was the first game where little OliBear played to now?
I have to say, because this was actually a realization that I had, because I thought I started playing fighting games with MK9, but my cousin, who I grew up with him, he was basically my brother growing up, and he was like, remember that game that we played where we could be like Spider-Man and Iron Man and these other guys that we didn't know about? I was like, oh my god, we played Marvel vs. Capcom. And he was like, yeah. I was like, do you remember which one it was? He's like, no. So we were looking up stuff. I think the first fighting game I ever played was Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
It's a great game to start with.
Yeah. And we had no idea what we were doing. We had no idea what any of these characters were, who Captain Commando was. We didn't know who Jin was. We knew Mega Man, but that was about it. And then I was thinking about it, I was like, wow, I've been playing fighting games for like a really long time. Because it started with MVC2, which was awesome, and then it slowly grew. I don't think I played MK until high school, because a friend of mine, Dom, he said, do you want to come over and play Mortal Kombat? I'm like, I have no idea what that is. He said, okay, well, just come with me. Fell in love with the game. It was the first one I ever played was MK9, so I came in on the reboot era, with everybody like starting the story over. And even then, I was still just like mashing buttons. We really weren't like playing for combos or like any of that. And then Injustice came out, and I was a huge DC nerd, as you could tell.
Yeah, me too.
I have a whole box of comic books that's laying over there, and I was like, a fighting game where I can play the Flash. Forget it. I'm playing this game, and even then, it was still just button mashing and having fun. A friend of mine learned the the general combo for Green Lantern where it's like the low into the grab,
Yeah,
and then he does the double back. It's really simple,
Yeah.
For the most part, we were all button mashing, and he came in and he learned that combo. He started wiping the floor with all of us because we didn't know what we were doing.
It's AAY, right? AAY.
Yeah.
Quarter or 331. Quarterback Y. 2, right? Do I? Why do I know that stuff?
No, it's awesome. And I just remember he beat us. I went home that night. And I was like, I am not going to let this guy beat me at a DC game. This is my stuff. I learned every combo I could with Flash. Every combo I could. And then from there, it was the two of us, and no one wanted to play anymore. It was just me and him always going back and forth. And whenever we went to my buddy's house, we were like, do you guys want to play Injustice? No. And I would look at my friend, and I said, hey, do you want to play Injustice? You pick Green Lantern, I'll pick Flash. He's like, yeah. So we just went back and forth. That went on for like ever. And then that became like the rest of my history. Then like MKX came out, and I said, oh my God, now I get to learn Mortal Kombat and like no combos and do all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. And then the rest is basically history, because that's around the time that what was right after MKX? Was it Injustice 2? Injustice 2.
And then we had MK11.
Yeah. And then I went to my first tournament ever with MKX, because I went to Defend the North, and it's in New York. It was the one and only tournament I've ever been to, but I had a blast. But that's basically where I started. I remember realizing that I was like, wow, I've actually been playing fighting games for a very long time. I just didn't know I was playing fighting games.
I love that you barely mentioned any other game outside of NetherRealm or Midway games. But do you have experience outside of Midway? Like, have you like played Tekken or Street Fighter throughout the year?
I did when I was younger, because that was the stuff that I remembered playing, but I don't remember like trying to like truly learn it. Because I played MVC2. I played Tekken 3 when it came out on the PlayStation. I played a couple Tekkens after that. And then I might have fallen off from fighting games because my cousins, who were the only people I really played games with, were big Call of Duty nerds. So I just hopped on the train with them, and then Halo came out, and Halo was like a 5-year journey. I never lost.
For everyone. Everyone got lost the time with that game.
Exactly. It became so addicting, and then right after that, right after that, when they were like all doing their own thing, that's when I really discovered I was like, wow, I actually really like fighting games. I'm very good at fighting games. Because as much as I liked Halo, I was never great at it. And the same thing with Call of Duty. I liked it, but I liked it because my cousins played it.
Yeah.
But fighting games was the one thing I was like, I'm really good at this. I'm very good at playing fighting games. I have played other fighting games. I just can't remember. Mortal Kombat and like NetherRealm and Midway games were the ones that like really stuck with me, because I think they had a very big impact on how I looked at fighting games. Like the first fatality I ever saw was Sub-Zero like ripping somebody's head off. And then seeing their spinal go, I was like, wow, I've never seen that.
And they're the only ones that did back then.
Exactly. And I was just like imprinted with that.
I always thought certain people, like, I don't know, this is a mean comment. I know people get really angry when I say this, but like there are like fighting game fans, and then there's Capcom fans. And like I just feel like Capcom fans like are very stuck in their ways, where like they want Street Fighter, they want Marvel. Like other games to them, they're like whatever. Like there's a lot of great things in all different fighting games. Don't get me wrong. I personally like Injustice far more than many other games, but it's nothing bad. You know what I mean? Like like I'm allowed to
You have your
have
opinion.
opinions, and apparently that's not allowed in the fighting game community. So
Yeah, I feel like it's because a lot of people look at Street Fighter, you know, and it's not. I feel like a lot of people outside the Capcom community can be like, okay, Street Fighter is clearly like the Godfather when it comes to
yeah,
fighting games, you
speaking of
know.
Godfather, you say I'm the Godfather in one of your videos
Well,
today.
it was at the time because if you looked at it, I saw your content and I was like, wow, this guy makes great fighting game content, and I really didn't see anything outside of that. And only through you did I see like all these other people. I saw Lumi, I saw Floki, I saw Specs, I saw, you know, Ghoul, and all of them. I was like, wow, there's like a whole community behind this. I didn't even know,
Hmm.
you know. And the fact was that they all knew you, and I was like, okay, so this dude is like the guy to like
It's
watch.
not the Godfather. That's just a central point. There's
It's a central point. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm not, you know, discerning any of their creative content. I'm sure they all like came up and they were like, I
oh yeah,
love fighting games.
yeah,
But you know, we could all relate to the stuff that you were making. Like whenever you made the videos where like, you know, the one fighting game guy in your group of friends, that is my entire life playing fighting games. No
yeah.
one ever wanted to play with me after like day 3. They're like,
Yeah.
Jesse picked it up. We're fine.
That was yeah, like that. I found out something when it comes to content creation. This is a piece of advice I can give to you or whoever is listening. You need to give some type of value, and my value is like I can try to make things relate to you to make you
Mm-hmm.
feel something. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's make you laugh or make you, hey, that's fucking me.
Yeah.
The amount of times I get video comments like I'm getting called out in this video and I don't like it. I get that a lot in a lot of my videos, especially with the whole one fighting game guy in your group of friends.
Yes.
Because the amount, like, I will never run out of that series. I seriously will never
Yeah.
run out because I have always been either the best guy in the group or I know someone that's the best guy in the group that we're all like, oh, I don't want to face Dan. Like,
Yeah.
there's always that situation. And like, I remember I got to a point where I was so hungry for new fighting game content that had single player content because all of my friends wouldn't face me. I went to the
Yes.
store and bought Rumble Roses. Do you know what that is? That is a
No.
all-female wrestling game because I was trying to find something new that was fighting game based that had a story because all my other friends wouldn't face me. I needed something. That's going to be a TikTok. Thank you for telling me.
Okay.
I forgot about Rumble Roses. That is Rumble Roses a fighting game? But like that is the point, and you're the demographic I'm going for. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you're exactly what I want people to watch because, like, I understand that everyone else who is a fighting game fan has gone through this, right? Like,
Right.
even if you're you're like the worst player in the world, there's been a time where like I just don't want to face Dan. He does that one spammy move. I don't want to deal with it. Like that's
Right.
always happened to people who play fighting games, and only fighting game people can relate. And that's why I think I've had success. Is I just have figured out how to take like what all of us are thinking and just put it to a sketch. So
Right.
I've been quite lucky to have the background with like stand up and all in improv comedy, and I've been able to do that for years and just been able to relate it to a passion that I love. So,
I feel that.
but let's move back here. Is it only, like the main question is like what are your favorite fighting games? Is it just are you just going with NRS? Like I'm assuming your favorites are like Injustice and MK. Are there others that kind of fall behind it all? Like you mentioned Strive there for a second.
Yeah, I would say until I became part of the FGC TikTok, I was the most comfortable with NetherRealm Studio and Midway Games because I think for a time I looked at other fighting games and I just couldn't feel comfortable playing them. Like a friend of mine back home in New Jersey, he plays Soul Calibur. I cannot touch this man when it comes to Soul Calibur, and it comes to like the 3D aspect that really throws me off. I was like, "Whoa, this is so weird compared to like NRS stuff, where it's just okay, we're here and that's it."
Mm.
Um, but then joining this community, when all of you guys were like, "Oh, you should try, you know, Guilty Gear. You should try Tekken. You should try this. You should try that." I was like, screw it. I might as well go around and look. And now, very recently, it's become like a very big aspect of like maybe I will try this. Maybe I will try that because now on my PC I have Power Rangers, I have Guilty Gear, I have Mortal Kombat X and 11. Uh, I might download Tekken. A couple of cousins of mine wanted to play Tekken, and I wanted to see if I could like get into it again. Uh, but yeah, for the most part, it was that. Guilty Gear is slowly becoming one of my favorites.
Sure. It's a
Because
good it's
now,
a good game.
yeah, exactly. And now I've come into the terms of like, okay, I really want to push to like learn this new stuff, and even like I picked up on the fight stick like last year. Last year I picked this up because of like you guys talking about it, and I found out I cannot play MK on this. I can't.
Me neither. The
No.
few guys I know that play on stick in an MK game, I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, you're a different.
You're out
breed.
of your mind. That's a pad game through and through, man. Like
For sure. For sure, because it's so weird to like have the fight stick, and then you have down back forward motions, or like a lot of it is like down back or back down and stuff like that. And so it's like, wow, this is really weird to like play on this. Maybe I only play on pad when it comes to this. But now, yeah, my horizons have been very much broadened by what I've been watching.
I actually think that's part of the reason why, like a lot of that's why NetherRealm games have been more successful with playing on pad or controller, is because there's only quarter motions. Like, yes, every now and then a grappler like Bane or something has like a circle motion.
Yeah.
It's very rare, right?
Right.
So like, and even their circle motions, they're not exactly circle motions. They're like
Right.
down, back, down. Like it's a weird.
Yeah, you're making a T almost.
Yeah, like so, like I understand why people stick with pad, and like that's another thing. Like why? Because I'm an Injustice guy like you. So like when you look at a controller, like when the Xbox made this this indented D-pad, I was like, bro, this is the best controller. Like for a NetherRealm player, this is the best controller. People that like say like I want to play on a PlayStation controller, you're out of your mind. I will never Xbox all the way. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you there.
Have you ever seen Max talk about his specific pad that he plays NetherRealm games with?
No.
He has a certain gamepad. It's a PlayStation 4 gamepad, but the directionals, instead of it being like a circle that has all the buttons attached, each one of the directionals is an individual clicky button. It's some kind of otter mod. I forget what it was called. I'll look it up for you.
To be honest, that sounds horrible. But hey, I mean, if that's what Max plays. Like, I just don't like when things are like. I don't have it in here, but the newest PlayStation 5 controller, I hate it for fighting games. Yeah. Absolutely hate it. Like, especially when you're doing a Z motion. Like we're NetherRealm guys. Z motions are almost like
almost
French, non-existent to us. But like when you do a Z motion, if you have like, I get in the habit of doing forward, down, forward again. So I'm still I'm like do the roll, and back forward. So I usually will do the down forward. And then my finger's going past the button, and it goes and hits the middle button in the PlayStation controller. Yep. So it goes to the menu, and I'm like, all right, I'm really over this. I'm sick of it. But yeah, I think I vaguely remember Max even complaining about the PlayStation controller.
Yes, he did. He said that the PS5 controller was absolutely horrible for fighting games, and I think that's actually part of the reason why he got that new gamepad for the NRS games, because he's mainly a stick player when it comes to his fighting games.
I believe so, yes. Well, he grew up in the arcades, dude. Like, right, like, that was just the way to be back then.
Yeah, that's actually half the reason why I got this too, because I was thinking about it. I was like, I did play in arcades when I was a kid. I did play fighting games on a stick and whatnot. I think because growing up, I was lucky enough to like have a console, so I always had a pad in my hand. So it just made more sense to me to do it like that. But yeah, I think the legacy is cool.
Like I have a stick, you know what I mean? Like, and I usually pull that when I'm actually playing 3D games. Like I was trying to get really good with it with Tekken and Soul Calibur. I feel more comfortable with that. But like I'm so used to playing pad. Like I played on arcades. Don't get me wrong. I played with arcades too. It's just like I'm so used to using a controller. But there's actually more people that use controllers than you think, or pad than people think.
Oh, of course.
I went to Combo Breaker and I was looking around. Yes, there's a ton of people with sticks. That's no way to look past that, or hitboxes. But I saw people with their cord plugging their controller in more than I can imagine. I'm like, you know what? It's not just me, and the community. I'm not saying the community makes you go buy a stick, but it kind of feels like they make you go buy a stick. You know what I mean? I bought it because I felt it was a requirement, and now I bought the stick. I barely touch it. Now I want a hitbox. So now I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do at all. So
I feel like once you're inundated in the culture, you're looking at the legacy of where fighting games came from to where they are now. Mm-hmm. And there are some people that are like, oh, the stick gives you an advantage or the pad gives you an advantage. And there's been so many videos that I've seen where it's it doesn't matter. People have won with the steering wheel. Someone won EVO with a steering wheel. It doesn't matter what you play with. It's what you're comfortable with.
Nothing matters, dude. This is also something that I have a lot of respect for the people that do talk about this, and it depends on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me as a player, my reaction time is just so much better on a controller. Yeah, I obviously could practice with a pad or a stick and get way better if I wanted to on paper, but my reaction time and my comfort level is so much better with a controller. There's no reason for me to switch from a pad because I'm just that much more comfortable with it.
No.
Why would I switch when you're already comfortable? And also, for example, Lumi and I have had this conversation before. Lumi's a pad player too. I'm a pad player through and through. Lumi kicks my ass all the time. Right. And he's a pad player, right? So I know it has nothing to do with pad. It has to do with who you are as a person. If you're going to be good at fighting games, you'll put the effort in no matter what controller is in your hands. So
exactly.
But, okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about some NetherRealm drama. Since you and I are both in the same boat right now, let's talk about the constant depression we've been in for the last 2 years. So you're clearly what do you want more? If the next, give me 3 options with the next announcement from NetherRealm Studios. What game do you want to get announced? 3 different options.
Okay, I'm of. I want Injustice 3. I do.
Okay.
I understand that Injustice as a fighting game gets a bad rep because of the backing up kind of gameplay for, blocking and whatnot. I really loved Injustice. I want another Injustice.
Yeah, me too. Am
I going to be super upset if it's MK12? No. Mm-hmm. I'll still, of course, probably go out and get it. Mm-hmm. But there have been some stuff that I've heard about that I was like, okay, that might actually be cool. Where Ed Boon talked about him wanting to make a fighting game of it's just killers from movies, and I would love that.
The horror IP game sounds awesome. Yep.
Yes, if it was a completely different IP and they wanted to do something like that, I'd be more than down for it. But I think Injustice has to be my number 1. It has to come next. I just feel like if we follow the cycle, we can't disappoint.
I think they broke the cycle. That's I've had this conversation with many different people, and I'm at a point now where I don't even think we're gonna get an announcement this year. I don't know what's going on, and I think they have something, but they're just not allowed to talk about it because there's other things that we don't know about. There's no reason. I've thought about it. It's been over a year since the last actual announcement about a game, official announcement, and that was Mortal Kombat 11 made an official in the beginning of 2021 that they are no longer supporting the game.
That was weird. Was that weird to you?
It was massively weird. That was there's a whole bunch of different reasons behind that. I remember there was one. I was only a month into TikTok, and I remember making that video. I was saying "Hey, I'm bummed too. I get it. I stopped playing 6 months ago though because I just didn't like MK11. So, the reason that I felt weird is because they were still hosting the tournaments. But here's something that I had to come to terms with, because in the back of my mind, because that was the official Combat Cup, right, or whatever they fucking called it. In my mind, because it was officially through them, I expected news coming from there. However, I found out afterwards it was just supported by NetherRealm Studios. It wasn't being ran by them. So the second I figured that out, and I'm like, oh, nothing fucking matters.
Right.
Like, so then, like, that made it worse because they didn't do anything until the last update, which was they finally fixed Shiva.
Yes.
They finally fixed Shiva in MK11, and then they just went radio silent for 6 months. We finally got an announcement from MK11 saying, we thank you for supporting our game. We're no longer supporting this game. And then everyone the next day is like, so Combat Pack 3?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they just said, guys. So since then, it's been radio silent, and there's been nothing but rumors. And none of these rumors have any merit. I have gone back on every single last one of them. It's just all hearsay. We know nothing. We've been in complete silence for over a year. And I don't care what anyone that comes out and says, well, Ed Boon said. Ed Boon trolls everybody. It doesn't matter what Ed Boon says. It doesn't matter that Warner Brothers is combining with Discovery. What does that matter?
Yeah.
Marvel and Disney combined yesterday, and MCU's running great. Okay,
yeah,
it has nothing to do with that. Like, everyone needs to like this is the whole drama. This, like, the MK fans or the NetherRealm fans got very close to what the Smash fans are doing, and it's dangerous. So that's why I like to make NetherRealm fans look like they're just in a drought. That's like this idea that NetherRealm fans are just miserable. Like, I'm gonna make a video this week of NetherRealm fans and KI guys. It's like, do you want to go do something? I'm like, I don't want to do anything anymore.
I just want to sit in my corner.
I just kind of want to go lay down. Like, it's so bad because, like, Street Fighter 6 is getting so much love right now, and I'm excited for SF6 really bad. Like, I'm gonna play it. The thing is, it's just devastating to me knowing how much I want an NRS game, and there's nothing, and I keep, like, there's been radio silence. There's not even an idea of when something was going to get announced. Like, I've been assuming we were going to get an announcement at the Game Awards. Right? Because Ed Boon said he was going to be there.
Did you freak out during the Wonder Woman trailer?
100%.
Yes,
100%.
I really jumped up on my seat. It said
it was
DC Comics. It said Warner Brothers. I was like, here it comes. This is it. And
I was devastated. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm probably gonna play that Wonder Woman game.
That's exactly what I said.
But, like, I've been waiting for a new game for like a year now. It's been over a year. Like, I'm not even waiting for the game. I just wanted an announcement. We're like, and also here's something that NetherRealm fans will fight me on, and I'm willing to go to this argument. I don't like the way they handled DLC in MK11. They, like, ruined it. The way everything that's been happening at NetherRealm Studios over the last 3 years has just been very sus to me. And
why?
The way they dropped DLC for MK11, they announced pretty much all the characters before the game was released.
Okay, yeah, I can see
we
that.
did not know who fucking Starfire, Red Hood, or what was the Sub-Zero. We didn't find out about that until a week after launch.
Right.
So, like, that was just something for Injustice 2. And if you look back, the DLC has gotten, like, very fixed. Like, you know there's going to be DLC. We're not dumb.
Oh, yeah.
You know there's going to be DLC, and that's how they make most of their money. I'll be honest.
Of course.
I just bought I can always transform my thing on my PC from NetherRealm a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're still getting effing money from me, right? Through a game that is 5 years old.
For sure.
So I know they're not hurting for money. They're lying. I think the fan base is just in a drought, and I think there's two reasons for it. One, because there's something behind the scenes that we're unaware of. I swear to God, there's something going on that we don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe a shake in the company. Maybe there's a different direction. Maybe they're not even working on a fighting game right now. There's a whole bunch of things we don't even know about. The other big thing that is, I think there's a part of them that were like, okay, we're going to try to follow suit with Tekken and Street Fighter and Smash, and here's all the DLC for a couple years, because they did give us DLC for 2 full years, to be fair. And then said, okay, here's the game. And then they go back and working on their old game, right?
Okay.
NetherRealm fans are not used to that.
Very true. Very true.
Like, now, that's why I say the way they handled DLC I think was very poor. Those characters should have been spread out over a longer period of time. Like, if I had a new character every 3 months, that's fine. That's how they should do it, to be fair.
I actually Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just think the longevity of games should last longer with how long your DLC is. This is like, it's not, we're not releasing expansion packs anymore. It's not the way you do things anymore. So, like, I think DLC needs to be spread out, and NetherRealm did a horrible job with MK11. I think they did a bad job with Injustice, to be fair, too, because they had all their DLC done within a year, I think. And they could have spread that out for 2 years, all the way up to the release of MK11, and they did not do that, and that's very disappointing.
When they were talking about MK11, and in the very beginning, I remember them saying this is going to be the longest supported fighting game we've had yet. And, you know, of course, they talked about, you know, the DLCs for the first combat pack. And I was thinking, okay, so they're going to spread this out throughout before, like, you know, maybe their next fighting game. Because I think they said we're going to be supporting this for the next, like, 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I forget what it was. And I think you're right in the terms of, like, you didn't try and, like, sprinkle it across. You kind of, like, 3 months in, dump. Another, maybe, you know, close to a year in, dump. And then the last part was, like, what, maybe another 6 months after that, dump.
They also released all three, their final combat pack, they released all 3 characters in one swoop. Yep. Like, why would you do that? They gave us Melina, Rambo, and Rain in one drop. Why? You could have, like, announced that trailer and then spread it out for 3 months, and you could have ran a whole other, like, season of course competition. You know what I mean? It's like, why would you do that? And that's why I feel like there's something that we don't know that's going behind the scenes, and I feel like that's been something that I truly believe there's something going on, and that's also why, like, Boone is just throwing nothing at the wind.
Yeah,
like, everything he says, there's no, like, legitimacy to anything, and I feel bad because he's one of my favorite he's one of my favorite video game, like, heads, right? I want to, when I see Ed Boon tweeted, I check every single time, but like, I just don't have any, like, any trust in what he has to say. He could say, oh, by the way, MK12 is being announced tomorrow. I'm like, sus, and I'm
yeah. I don't trust a word he says now. Well, in those terms, because I think I kind of feel bad for him sometimes, because he'll just tweet about, like, oh, going to the beach today, and then, you know, a bunch of fans will be like,
Trevor confirmed.
Yeah, Trevor confirmed in Mortal Kombat 12. I was like, guys, he's just trying to enjoy his day. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's the thing that really bothered me about the Game Awards. He was going to have a reunion with the rest of the MK guys, right?
Right.
And then he went to, like, that is the same day as the Game Awards. He was going to be in this, like you obviously follow all of the big tubers as well. Like, you probably follow, like, Dynasty and True Underdog and
of course,
like, all those guys. So, like, I love those guys, and there was you can see all of their posts, man. And you'd be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, Boone went radio silent. Like, you know what I mean? And then I think he made a tweet at one point. Is like, just because I talk doesn't mean I'm saying or not saying anything. But he is, 2 years ago, he'll openly admit that, like, yeah, I say stuff all the time to fuck with you guys. You can't say A, then try to scold us when you say A again. It's not.
Right.
What are you doing, bro? Like,
yeah. I remember not wanting. I remember learning Ed Boon was a troll from Injustice 2 when. Do you remember in that little bit of time right before the game came out, he put these polls up, like Red Hood or Constantine or Starfire or Trigon.
I voted on them.
I voted on them too.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember seeing the result. I was like, Constantine got the most votes. If I don't see Constantine in this game, and it was Red Hood, I was like, bro, he was like second place, I'm pretty sure.
There's without a doubt, like, for, like, speaking, we're gonna get into that next, but like that kind of stuff, he knew what he was doing to get people hyped up. But now
Oh, yeah.
that also was a test for future games. No different than what Smash did with the Smash ballot. They knew who they were going to add in the next game because of the Smash ballot. Like, why do you think Ridley got added into Smash? Not because Sakurai wanted to fucking make that character, because the ballot said Ridley. You know what I mean? So that is exactly what Boone's doing. He's like, you know who the two other most top popular characters were that didn't get added? Constantine was one of them. Beast Boy was the other. If Beast Boy and Constantine are not in the next Injustice game, I will lose my fucking
blow a
mind.
gasket.
And not just because confusion, because they are by far the two most popular characters. There's no one else that beats Constantine and Beast Boy. They are 100. Booster Gold is kind of third, but like Beast Boy and Constantine just take the cake out of everybody.
I want to say that if he doesn't have those guys in the main game just to mess with people, I would say Boone would be ballsy enough to be like, oh, they're not in the main roster, but Injustice Pack 2 or 3, we'll throw them in there.
Yeah, they're coming from the pit. Remember that? No, that said those are awesome trailers.
Oh.
So let's get into that a little bit. A Squishy will answer your question in a second, but let's talk about your wants for Injustice 3, because clearly you're a DC guy like me. You clearly have certain characters you want to see. Who is on your list for Injustice 3? Give me your list of your top 5 Injustice 3 picks.
Top 5. Oh man, I want Constantine because he's my second fave. I feel like Flash is just like a no-brainer. He's going to be in the main roster. Like it's not something that's big. But I really want someone who's like very much out of left field. So like Constantine, and then like Polka Dot Man. Ugh. And no, but hey,
I know.
You can make it work. It could be cool, you know. Let me see. Oh wow, Constantine, Polka Dot Man. Throw like Red Tornado in there.
Okay,
that would be dope. Mr. Miracle.
Okay.
If you can. Oh man, let me think.
Would you like to hear mine? While I have mine on deck.
Here, go. Yeah,
right. So I don't count Constantine or Beast Boy because they're just getting added. I'm at that point where I just think they're gonna get added. My number one pick is I want Dick Grayson Deadman.
Ooh.
I want because he died in Injustice Comics, so like I want him to come back as Deadman. My number 2 pick is Larfleeze.
Ooh, that would actually be amazing.
I want Larfleeze. Superboy. I'm bet on Team Superboy for a while. The Young Justice version of Superboy.
Oh, okay.
I want the Penguin.
Okay.
I want the Penguin. I think that would be awesome with the umbrella and everything, like him just being like a weird like trolley character. I kind of like imagine like Jigglypuff in terms of trollness, or Dan Hibiki. He's supposed to be the goof character. And then my number 5 is Commissioner Gordon, because I think Commissioner Gordon would be awesome. I can imagine a move of him just like smoke a cigarette and just throwing it in someone's face. I can see the most cool things with him if they actually did it.
I feel you.
I also have others, like I want like Livewire. I think Livewire would be Blue Devil is another cool one. Icicle Jr. I'm a big Young Justice fan, so like most of the cast from Young Justice. Who else is in there in that list here that I want? I said Superboy, right?
Yeah. If you give him a skin, if you give Superboy a skin where, you know how they changed the character? I forget what those are called, but they changed the character. If you give Superboy a Superboy Prime skin, I'll play him.
Yo, people would lose their mind if you could play Superboy Prime. And like I'm a huge fan of DC. Like, so I can name characters for hours. I used to actually have it on here. It's not on here, but actually on what I'm like when I was streaming Injustice, people would always, when I would like, who do you want in Injustice 3? So I actually had a prompt where I'd press a button and my top 10 would show up. I just had a prompt. These are the ones I would want. I think Clayface was on there too. Clayface is another one.
Clayface would be amazing.
Yeah. I also want more villains. Like, there's not enough villains and not enough female characters. That's Mira. Mira's another one that I really want to see.
Right. I want villains, but I want less Batman villains, if that makes sense.
Do you really
I
dislike the Batman villains, or are you just jumping on the bandwagon?
No. I don't dislike them. That's the whole thing. Batman probably has the most colorful array of villains, and I'm not gonna argue with that.
Sure.
Obviously, if you look at the spectrum, from Joker to Two Face to Poison Ivy to, like what's like a really abstract one, like Man Bat and all that. He's got like some crazy villains. I'm saying just sprinkle in some other villains. Like when they brought in Captain Cold.
He was a good choice. I can't argue.
I
that.
thought
He
Captain
a good
Cold
choice.
was great. If you brought in like Heat Wave, the Trickster, and Mirror Master,
Mirror Master is someone I really do want because can you imagine his moveset?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could be super sick. Super sick.
I'm not saying I hate the Batman villains. I actually love them. I'm saying if you bring in some like different flavors of them, like remember when Lobo was in the first one?
So awesome.
Dude, I didn't know who Lobo was. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then I looked up. I bought comics because of him.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, this guy's awesome.
Yeah. The same thing with, I know a lot of people didn't even know who General Zod was, which like blew my mind.
That
Like how do you not like he's like number 3 most important bad guy to Superman. It's like
For sure.
Luther Doomsday Zod. Like what do you mean you don't know this?
I would actually like Doomsday to come back.
I would
Probably not with his like super tanky special move, but other than that, would be really cool.
I actually have a YouTube video where I go over who I think are the saved characters that are guaranteed for the next game. It's like because Boone has said like I can't make a Injustice without Batman. I can't make it without Green Lantern. I can't make it without Wonder Woman. So there's certain like the core Justice League are not going anywhere.
Right.
I think everyone outside of that core Justice League can go though. So like as a good example, I think Supergirl is a guaranteed comeback. Guaranteed. I think Cyborg is a guaranteed comeback. And I actually think Blue Beetle is another one. Blue Beetle is kind of being put into that poster boy role of the young boy superhero for DC Comics right now. And it's been going on for almost a decade now. The new movie's literally is already filming. So like in my opinion, it's happening. So like there's like I think around 13 characters guaranteed. Villains wise, all up in the air. You can get rid of every villain and bring all new ones in, and no one's going to give a shit. That includes Catwoman and Bane.
Yeah.
We don't need them. They're not that big. Same thing with the Joker. We don't need the Joker. We don't. I know. Come flame me, DC fanatics. I don't care. Okay.
I agree. I feel like they were redoing some stuff. And even to that respect, when I was saying about, sprinkling some other flavors, like Green Lantern and Atrocitus were cool. I'm like, go get the other lanterns. Go get the indigo lanterns, the blue lanterns, the
orange
white and black
lantern.
lanterns. Yeah, bring them in, because it would be so cool to have like all these different dudes. Is it going to be a little tough to like change up their moveset?
No, there's not. It would be super fun. Like every single one of them have different moves. Like Atrocitus doesn't really make constructs. He makes blood weapons, right? Like the Green Lanterns can do anything, right? But if you look at everyone else, that's always something. For example, Larfleeze summons people he's murdered. Because former Orange Lanterns. Can you imagine Larfleeze's moveset? He'd be a puppet character. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
that would actually be really cool.
Same thing with Star Sapphire. Most of her moves were blast. Or constructs to like protect or damage. Like there were never. You don't really see her make a glove. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's different, but
almost like a buff character.
I want to answer this question for Squishy for us. You can. I'll start with this myself, so you have a second to think about it. Is there a fighting game you guys refuse to play, and why? Me personally, no. I'm willing to play pretty much everything. Now, if I'm going to change your question to kind of answer in a different way, is there something I'd less likely be willing to play? Most anime games. And what I mean by
I've
anime
heard that
games,
from you.
I'm less likely to play like Guilty Gear, Melty Blood, and like BlazBlue. More recently, is why I'm starting to dislike them for some reason. I'm not having fun playing them. That used to be team fighters. I used to avoid team fighters. However, I've now flipped on that, and I enjoy playing team fighters. It's kind of a ever changing thing. But if there is a fighting game that I hate, it's arena fighters.
Yeah, I would almost say the same thing. But I don't think I can just because for a
Hydrate.
good amount. For a good amount. Oh, I forgot my water bottle. I'll get it right after this.
Yeah.
I would say for the longest time, 3D fighters I wouldn't touch as much because I got to have fun in Tekken, but once it comes to learning like the Korean backdash and like all this other stuff, it's definitely a lot harder. I'm not going to have. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't play them, but I like you. I think it's less likely for me to play them. Like I don't think Soul Calibur is a game for me. I like watching it. You know, my
Hmm.
friend who is a very high level, I like watching it, but for me playing it, it feels very uncomfortable from the games that I'm usually playing. And for the majority, correct me if I'm wrong, for the majority of fighting games, it is like 2D, no matter
Yeah.
how 3D it looks. It's mostly like 2D fighters. Majority, I would
I
say.
think when people think fighting games, I think they think 2D. Yes, I'll give you that. When people think fighting games, they usually will think of 2D fighting games first. If you're talking
Hmm.
about specifically of Soul Cal,
I guess
Soul
I
Cal,
don't.
in my opinion, is 100% a 3D fighter. It has one. It
Yeah.
has the eight way run, which is one of the only games that has it. You have so much crazy movement in it. But like, I do understand having struggles because that's also a personal thing with you. Like, I had a lot of fun playing Soul Calibur when I was younger because I was really good at it. I was able to destroy my friends. They
Mm.
didn't like that. I can understand why they didn't want to face me. So you probably have, I'm assuming, have had a situation similar to that, correct?
Kind of, yeah. It was in that way of like I was still learning about fighting games. I wasn't really getting into it for this fact of like combos and like getting competitive with it. But my friend earlier on got really into Soul Calibur and was a very good Keelik main.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just I wouldn't be able to get a sweep on the guy. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so maybe this is not for me.
I do think the big issue with me with Soul Calibur is I don't really buy Soul Calibur for the game. I buy it more for the creator mode. I like the character creator mode in Soul Calibur is better than most
Amazing.
like general creator modes in other games. Like for games that their goal is to make a simulator where you can create a character and have them simulate in it. Soul Calibur is
Right.
better than like
Right.
their creator
Exactly.
mode is godlike. So I
Mhm.
do understand that. Like the things I have seen nowadays with creator modes, like Elden Ring is a great example. You know, I mean, Elden Ring went way above and beyond what they
Of
needed to do.
course.
Like, remember what Cyberpunk promised they were gonna do? Same thing there. Like they had a really good creator mode. Excuse me.
Uh, to cycle back into like an NRS kind of topic, do you think that MK11 messed up by not giving us as much customization as we had in Injustice?
No,
Okay.
because that's what killed it. Injustice, the system they had in place. So like, think about it. What happened is they were in a great spot in MKX, but they
Right.
needed to improve from MKX. They overshot it with Injustice 2 with making the creator with how they did the gear system. They made it
Mhm.
unbearable. Like it was not unless you truly loved the game, you were not going to put the effort in to make the game more fun for you because you needed to put more effort in to make the game fun for you. To grab all those extra abilities was bullshit. Like there's like
Right.
I did it. I'll be honest. I went and got all the pieces I want. I went through all of the online, found the pieces of gear that I wanted to have Supergirl to have, I wanted Enchantress to have, and I worked my ass off and played nonstop to get it. So I know there's people that were not willing to go that far. They overshot it
Mhm.
by crazy. So when it came to MK11, they undershot it by making it way more simple because it's a footsies game.
Right.
It's a footsies game now, and like what happened is they took some of the ideas from Injustice 2 that were still very spammy with projectiles and gave it to all the characters in MK11, but they made it a footsie-less game, made it a little bit slower and more methodical, but you
Right.
still have the projectiles from Injustice in there. You're making a game that's very hard to play.
Okay.
So like they overshot it here, and then they overdid it with trying to make it. However, they didn't fix the main issue. So like if they literally, I'm not even lying, if they just made us somewhere in the middle of MKX and Injustice, the game would be perfect.
Okay.
in my own opinion, because MKX is goated.
Yeah,
Like it's MKX is
totally
probably one of the best fighting games of all time. And Josh, yes,
Absolutely.
I do. Have you ever heard of Hellish Court, OliBear?
Can't say I have.
Hellish Court is a Steam game. You can check it out on Steam. It is a real life Soul Calibur esque game with real like physic mechanics with swinging a sword.
Okay.
All right, and I purchased it, but I'm waiting for the story because it's really hard. Like it's really hard. I played for a couple hours one day, and like when you get to like the final level, like the final difficulties, because you like like an arcade ladder, the final levels are super hard, but the game is super fun, and they're doing a story with all the different swordsmen throughout history, and it's actually really sick. I'll send you the link when we're done here, but we're already over an hour here, so I'm gonna finish up here. What is or where can people find you, OliBear? On here, throughout social media, where can people find you, or where do you want people to come find you?
You can find me on Instagram, FGC OliBear. You can find me on TikTok, FGC OliBear. On Twitter, I believe it's just OliBear on my Twitter. So just at OliBear, you'll find me there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all the social media I have. I haven't dabbled into like YouTube or any of that stuff yet.
Not yet. You got to take all your TikToks and throw them on YouTube Shorts, man. That's how it starts.
Okay.
Yeah, just do that. All right. So my final question, how I always finish up these podcasts, is very simple. What does the FGC mean to you?
It means a lot to me. It's a very large community of people who are willing to like put in the work and get to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And a lot like we talked about before, it's a community that's very like inclusive when it comes to our games. It's not like I only play Street Fighter, I only play Mortal Kombat. Like everybody plays a little bit of everything, and I feel like that kind of like camaraderie when it comes to those games is very cool to see, to have everyone like understand each other on such a level of like, I know what that feels like, and I've also been into that situation. There's no one who hasn't had a bad day in fighting games that is like, an almighty god at it at the same time.
Totally respectable. Is there anything you could give a point you would like to give someone that's just getting into fighting games?
Be very patient with yourself.
Okay.
Don't let other people's abilities and skills, if they're much higher than yours, dwindle what you think you should be doing.
Okay.
There's a learning curve to everything, especially in fighting games. You literally are learning whole different mechanics. So my biggest thing is like be patient with yourself and don't let other people's skill and level be like, oh, well, I'm never going to get there. You will. It's just you have to put in your own time.
Good stuff, dude. Well, Ollie, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a hell of a conversation.
This was awesome.
I'm sure we're going to continue talking about NRS for the next hour. But I'm going to raid Mazaku. The one and only It's the Matsuku he's playing Monster Hunter Rise. So we're going to go visit him. Please give him some love, folks, when you guys get in there. I technically scored higher in the Tekken tournament than him yesterday. But all right, guys, I will see you guys soon. Deuces. Get to follow OliBear on all social media platforms that he mentioned. For those who don't know, I stream on Twitch every Sunday and Tuesday. Come and hang out. I also have an FGC TikTok account you totally should be following. If you liked the video today, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. My name is Phil, and of course, I'll talk to you guys soon.